Welcome today, working on master cylinder of the brake reservoir. We have a leak, and I'm going to explain what I found. Had some geysering, so when you step on the brake pedal, what it looks like is there's geysering going on in here. Now I just replaced all the brake lines down here, and I know it looks dirty, but the calipers are brand spanking new. And so this is the primary, and this is the secondary. What exactly does it mean? Primary is for your front brakes. It goes down to a T. That T down there goes to that side, and one goes to this side. This is called the proportioning T valve. That's going to be down there on your vehicle. Different makes and models, depends, but it's all the same on all vehicles. It's completely isolated, completely separate from your secondaries. Your secondaries are on the side that's closer to the brake booster, and your secondaries, that's your back brakes. And they made it law a long time ago to separate these two in case of emergency systems if you lose half your brakes, so that way they could be isolated, so the same problem can't affect the whole system, so you can still have the ability to stop. So they made it that way. And my back brakes, they do work, long story short. They do work. The fronts do not. Again, it's geysering, and when you step on the brake, I could see I had someone step on the brake, and there's like doing this in the front, and the calipers do work momentarily, but until that pressure bleeds off, that's before the blown seal that's down in here. They close, but then they let off, well, because that seal's blown out. So I've got the new replacement, and I'm going to go ahead and get this switched out. And this actually isn't too hard. There's just two bolts, one there, and there's another bolt over here. But before I do that, I'm going to get these two lines off on both sides. But yeah, as far as bleeding this, yeah, there's going to be a lot of air introduced to the system, so it's going to be necessary that I bleed off the brakes. Now the booster, what does the booster do? The booster takes the vacuum from the engine. So right now, we are under normal pressure, 14.7, I think. That's normal. You're like, pressure? I'm not under pressure. Until you see my bills, then you're under pressure. But right now, so you can call it 0, for example. And then some people call it negative pressure. Well, negative pressure is vacuum. Anyways, without getting too freaking technical, confusing you, this is engine vacuum is all this is. And the vacuum draws this large diaphragm. It gives the piston that's inside of this extra oomph to up your pressure in the system. A lot of times diesel pickup trucks don't have quite the brakes that gas do. They have to have a separate gizmo that generates the vacuum, because diesel's engines cannot produce vacuum because the way they are. There is no throttle flap on diesels, so it's a different beast. Let's not get too far. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this. Okay, so here's my new part. Yep, looks identical to the old one, minus being dirty. You'll notice there's a keeper C-ring in there. Don't mess with any of that. There's a rod that's going to go on the inside of that. The rod that's in there that makes contact with this little cup, do not adjust the rod. It is set to factory. Sometimes you can adjust them. Do not do that. You have no purpose doing that. But basically that rod, you can, if you, by adjusting that too far one way or the other, you can cause your brakes to constantly drag, and you'll be like, I can't figure out why they're doing this. But the only springs in the whole system, that the return that makes the brake pressure bleed back, and makes the calipers retract, is there's springs inside of here. And those springs, when you let off the pedal, these springs draw back up and draw the fluid back into the reservoir and all through that sort of stuff. Took a little good whack, but I got it. Okay, now they do make line wrenches. If you're new to this, these box wrenches, this is about where they stop at, because, well, you'll start to round off the nuts, and you don't want to do that. I actually started to round that smaller one off, and, well, it makes sense, it's smaller, so just less turning power. So I'm actually going to go and get one of my line wrenches for this next job. There we go, line wrenches. Well, interesting. Look at this guy over here. There's a bigger fella on, no big deal. So I'm going to get the little line loose first, because it's made to get loose first, because if I don't and I go twisting on the big one, I can actually twist that line and break that line and make my job even bigger. So I'm going to finish taking off the little one, and then I'm going to take off the big one. And I'm going to reuse the big one right there. There we go. I managed to get that back one off. I started a round off with the wrong wrench, and that one got me my line wrench. And yeah, popped it loose. That easy. Okay, before I got too carried away on that, I decided I wanted to break that big guy loose there, and I did. That's an interesting thing. Something tells me this isn't your normal union. I have no idea. Yeah, feel free to comment if you actually know what this thing is. Because in my eyes, it's just a piece that takes it from that size to that size. Beats me. There we go. See, it's loose. I'm going to make sure to put that bracket back on where I found it. Yeah. Alright, the way you get that off should be pretty obvious. You just pull up on that gray tab to get over that little hump, and that wiring starts to come off. And you gotta love old cars. The clip here broke off. This is probably going to be the warning indicator lamp, low fluid, and hey, you left your parking brake engaged, that sort of thing. Just taking a wild guess. That's probably what it is. And you can see that over here, this is the adjustment. Don't go messing with that, adjusting that. It's right where it needs to be per factory. Okay, so there was a nut on here that held on the flange, and then this bracket went on, and there was another nut that secured the bracket. So that's how this one is set up. Another indication that brake on the master brake cylinder over there went bad is that there's all this rust and stuff, which means that the brake fluid is more than likely leaking behind the seal of the master cylinder. And so brake fluid does eat through paint, and that's usually an indicator. It happens to all vehicles, doesn't matter what maker, what model, it happens. Eats the rubber. This vehicle is 34, almost 35 years old, so what do you expect? And there we have it. Genuine Ford parts.
I'm trying to get a picture of him, he won't hold still.
No, he won't. He's fucking circling it. Okay, so I'm at the point now to where I'm putting pressure. I've tried gravity bleeding and I'm not getting a solid pedal. Now the store sells this little gizmo that you plug in. So right there it has a line on, and that line, surely maybe you've seen it in other videos, maybe you have not, but there's little pockets essentially up in here that I have to manually put fluid into. And the way how you do it, like I just said, is you have to take these two lines back off, no big deal, and you screw it on. It has a little hose on it, little flexible hose, and it goes right back in here like I just said. And you could have a friend hit the pedal for you, that helps out too, or if you can rig it up here or something and do it yourself, but you have to basically get to recirculate right here to get the fluid in the areas it's supposed to be in. Hope that makes sense. Mamma mia! Here we are. I have received the master cylinder bleeder kit. So I'm going to need this bad boy, thread in those little gizmos and pump that sucker. Alright, so we just had a bunch of bubbles. Alright, hit it again. Bubbles. You can let off of it. Alright. And then do it again. See bubbles and stuff moving around. Yep, do it again. Yep, do it again. Yep. Just keep on working it. Yeah, I had the wrong fitting on the back. Alright. Alright, go ahead and do the old pumpy. Yep, nice and easy though. There you go. Just keep on working it. Yeah, she's solid now. Can you do it one more time?
I'm still doing it. I never quit.
Yeah. She's ready. Alright, so we have brakes, but the problem is now, it's kind of a different issue. I believe it's the adjustment that's, and it goes in that little cup that you saw earlier in the video. And rolling, So brakes partially work. That's going to be the rears with the distance, and so I'm pretty certain that that's the adjustment that has to be made. But anyways, that's how you do it. Now it's just a matter of tuning it in and yeah, going from there. Hope this helped.